Tonight, a high-profile trial in the death of a 9-year-old girl who was hit crossing the street digs into what police did and did not do when they detained the driver.
It's heartbreaking.
A Saskatchewan woman caught up in red tape in the healthcare system just wants to access care closer to home. Plus, no more my bads. The Riders are running out of opportunities to clinch a playoff spot.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, October 11th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A high-profile trial continues in a Saskatoon courtroom. Taylor Kennedy is accused of having THC in her system when she hit a 9-year-old girl at a crosswalk with her truck. Today, on day 2 of the trial, the judge heard what police did and didn't do in the first hour after the crash. Dan Zakreski reports.
9-year-old Bailey Maurice died when she was hit by a truck driven by Taylor Kennedy. It happened here on 33rd Street at 9 o'clock in the morning. Police who testified here at provincial court described a chaotic accident scene. Family and friends poured out onto the street and surrounded the injured girl while threatening the life of the woman who had been driving the truck. Constable Blake Atkinson was assigned to stay with Taylor Kennedy in the first hour after the fatal crash. He said she didn't appear impaired. He testified the young woman was distraught by what had happened. He spoke with her, first sitting on a curb and then in the back of a police SUV. Kennedy admitted she had mental health issues and had used cannabis and magic mushrooms the day before to help with anxiety. This admission is what prompted police to test her for cannabis. The catch is that no one had told her that she was detained, or that she could contact a lawyer, or that anything she said could be used against her. Now, it's going to be up to the judge to decide what evidence could be admitted at her trial. And we've not heard from anyone yet about the impact of her cannabis use on her ability to drive. Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Emotions were high at a sentencing hearing in Rostern today. The Crown is seeking 15 years incarceration for Brent Gabona, a care aide who pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting 5 people in his care. Gabona, seen here in the green jacket, worked as a care aide at Shepherd's Villa in Hepburn, helping adults with intellectual disabilities bathe, eat, dress, and get around. Today, court heard the abuse occurred over an extended period of time and that Gabona targeted individuals who were nonverbal, so they could not ask for help. The hearing went on for hours as families described the lingering trauma. The judge will deliver a sentence in the new year. Some of the victims' families are upset that Gabona remains free.
Well, we just feel that this is a serious slap in the face, not only to Daryl, but to the other victims. I just can't imagine this happening to able-bodied people, 5 victims that Brent Gabona has admitted to, and that he still be allowed to walk free almost 8 months later. We're just really, really disappointed in the court's decision today.
Family members say they were shocked to discover in court today that Gabona had a previous conviction for sexual assault and was able to work in a care home. The defense says Gabona is a devout Christian who has the support of his friends and family. They're asking for a 6.5-year sentence. The Saskatchewan Legislative Emergency Session continued today with more sparring over the government's controversial parental rights bill. That bill will be revealed tomorrow. It's expected to require children under 16 to get parental consent to use a different name or pronoun at school and to invoke the notwithstanding clause to get around any judicial review. The government put forward a motion to have the bill debated for 40 hours. That's double the required time. It says that would give the opposition more of a chance to scrutinize it. It would also mean MLAs would sit this Saturday and every day next week, including the weekend. The opposition cannot stop the motion or the bill. It says the government is providing the public and the opposition less time to examine the bill.
There's no reason why this bill hadn't been introduced in the fall sitting, which would have then resulted in months of scrutiny from the public. Instead, we're seeing the government call this special sitting, call rule changes that will result in days of scrutiny rather than the typical months. We oppose that. We think that this should have the scrutiny that it deserves.
The opposition and government will debate the motion tomorrow. The government's bill should be available publicly for the first time tomorrow morning. Community groups that help people on the streets are weighing in on the government's new plan to combat homelessness and addictions. Last Friday, the province announced a $90 million multi-year plan. Pratush Dayal has more on what some say is missing.
More shelter beds are appreciated, but are not the solution, says Colleen Christopherson-Cote with the Saskatoon Poverty Reduction Partnership.
In looking at all of the details, that this plan probably will create and perpetuate cycles of homelessness and poverty in the city.
And for mental health and addictions,
the government has pledged $90 million. $40 million of that will go toward fighting homelessness over the next 2 years. The plan includes creating 155 new supportive housing units in Regina and Saskatoon, and more emergency shelter spaces.
$14.1 million investment will create up to 120 new permanent emergency shelter spaces in Regina, Saskatoon, Prince Albert, Moose Jaw, and other communities based on need. This means there will be approximately 500 permanent emergency shelter spaces available this winter across Saskatchewan.
the 30 beds.
Those who help people on the streets say this plan won't meet demand and won't address root causes of poverty and addiction.
I can guarantee you in no uncertain terms that there are at least 500 people experiencing chronic homelessness in the city of Saskatoon alone. In fact, I would be so bold to estimate if you were to incorporate everybody that's experiencing homelessness in one way or another in this city, just in the city of Saskatoon, we would be in the numbers of thousands of people experiencing homelessness.
It's not going to get people off the street in the way that it's supposed to be and housed in the way that they should be. And then going forward, there's nothing to suggest that things are going to be changing. So the systems that are creating poverty are still in place.
As for addictions and mental health issues, the government will spend nearly $50 million to create 500 new treatment spaces and a central intake system.
The new action plan will have 3 priorities: building capacity so that we can help more people recover and live healthy lives, creating a central intake system, and transitioning to a recovery-oriented system of care for addictions treatment.
But the plan doesn't include several things community agencies have been lobbying for. There is no operational funding for supervised consumption sites, and there are no changes to the income assistance program. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A Saskatchewan woman says she cannot get life-saving dialysis treatment close to home, even though it's available at a hospital just 20 minutes from her house. The problem? The hospital is across the border in Manitoba. As Kendall Latimer reports, the woman says she is trapped in bureaucratic red tape of the healthcare system.
It's heartbreaking. It's emotionally draining.
Maureen McBratney suffered extreme kidney failure in June. She was airlifted to the hospital in Saskatoon, where doctors and nurses saved her life. And she's been responding well to treatment since then. McBratney is ready to embrace her second chance at life with her family and friends. But she can't go home.
I'm considered medically stable and ready to go home. But I can't. Because I'm a Saskatchewan resident, I cannot access the dialysis machines at the Flin Flon Hospital because it's in Manitoba. Literally 21 kilometers from my door.
McBratney lives in the Saskatchewan village of Denair Beach. There's a dialysis clinic at the Flin Flon Hospital, about 20 minutes from her home. That's where she typically receives medical care.
I was born there. My kids were born there. My doctor is in that hospital. My blood work, my x-rays, everything, that's where I go.
McBratney needs dialysis 3 times a week. But the province of Manitoba says she can't do that in Flin Flon. So for months, she and her husband have been living 6 hours away from home in Saskatoon because day trips aren't an option.
I'm really hoping that somebody in Manitoba sees and hears this and makes a change to take me home. I just need to go home. Be in my own space with my family and my grandson.
Saskatchewan's health authority says provinces have a reciprocal billing agreement for treating out-of-province patients, meaning Saskatchewan would pay if Manitoba treats McBratney. But it also says each province may use its discretion when accepting the ongoing care of out-of-province patients who require hemodialysis services. Manitoba's provincial health authority says the current regulations, including professional licensing restrictions for staff, do not allow the border town residents to access ongoing dialysis care in Flin Flon. Both health authorities say conversations about access to hemodialysis in Flin Flon are ongoing. The McBratneys say they know it takes time to sort out interprovincial agreements.
I'm begging them, fix this now. Give us some kind of interim to go back home until you get a solution to it. We're not here to aggravate anybody or to sue it. We just need the dialysis unit at the Flin Flon.
With talks underway, the couple says they don't understand why Maureen can't receive care in Flin Flon while a solution is sorted out. Kendall Latimer, CBC News, Saskatoon.
With a potential playoff spot looming, the Saskatchewan Roughriders need to be stronger in all three phases of the game. The team leaves tomorrow for their second last game of the season in Calgary on Friday night. There have been some impressive individual performances. 3 of their receivers could clear 1,000 yards this season. Jamal Morrow could do the same with rushing. But at 6-10, a playoff spot for the Riders is no longer a guarantee. They're only 4 points ahead of Calgary for the race for third. The offensive coordinator says getting to the playoffs should not be the team's only motivation.
There's no more my bads. You know, we're running out of opportunities to say it's okay, we'll do better next time. There's not many next times. So we have to do it. And that's been the way it's been the last month. So I hope that same energy and focus has been there all along, because it has to be every single week. This is pro football. Like, every team's good. Everybody's trying to win, so you have to bring your best every week, and this week is no different.
This is a good group. A lot of guys come from really nothing, so to be down and out isn't unfamiliar territory, so the energy hasn't been bad. You know, we all pretty much are, the underdog, so we understand that role a lot, and we just have to tap into it, but the energy's been good.
Dean is leading the defense with 98 tackles this season, and while he says he'd like to clear 100, he says that would be better with the W. Kickoff Friday night against the Stamps at McMahon Stadium is at 7:30. A beautiful bright sky and colorful leaves on full display for this photography class today. Wascana Park in Regina sure is beautiful this time of year. It is still pretty windy though. That said, looks like there's more sunshine in store for us the rest of this week. Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. There are updated guidelines for the NHL around theme nights. Players are now banned from using pride tape and other themed tapes on their sticks. Cameron McIntosh has more.
A symbol of inclusivity now benched, it appears, for good. Rainbow-colored stick tape, pride tape.
Very disappointing to hear this news coming from the NHL.
Chris Wells is co-founder of Pride Tape. Invented, he says, to promote inclusion. It was used on occasion on all 32 NHL teams.
It's never been forced. It's just been available for players to signal their support without having to say any words.
Pride Tape was first used by the Edmonton Oilers and counts the game's biggest name among its advocates.
Is it something that I'd like to see put back into place one day? Certainly.
It stems from an announcement last June. The NHL decided to discontinue the use of themed warm-up jerseys after a handful of players refused to wear pride jerseys, some citing religious and cultural objections.
That's just become more of a distraction from really the essence of what the purpose of these nights are.
It's not just Pride Tape. Other on-ice displays like pink tape or pink hockey sticks for cancer initiatives or camouflage tape in support of military nights also won't continue.
There's been a lot of collateral damage in this discussion.
David Palumbo is with You Can Play, dedicated to LGBTQ+ inclusion in sport.
Unfortunately, I can't sit here and tell you that, a lot of this is because someone has expressed concern over using camo tape to express support for military families or refuses to wear a Hockey Fights Cancer jersey.
Many teams will still go ahead with their Pride nights. Winnipeg's game will go next month.
The commitment, from an organization standpoint is we'll do everything we possibly can.
The NHL didn't respond to a request for comment, but has said many times in the past that it supports diversity and inclusion. Its players just won't be showing it on the ice. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. A windy Wednesday.
Yeah, thought I packed enough hair gel and hairspray. Clearly not enough for this morning as I walked out the door. But boy, those gusts have picked up. And let's take a look now at where they're sitting at the moment. Still over 40 kilometers an hour. In fact, in both Regina and Saskatoon, where we saw them get very close to 60 earlier this afternoon. Now, in terms of temperatures, western side of the province, yesterday you were basking in those mid-20s, felt like summer out there. Today, sharp temperature drop by about 10 degrees, and that leaves us with some pretty uniform temperatures. But you notice northern Saskatchewan getting up into the mid-teens today. That puts you some anywhere between 7 and 12 degrees above normal for this time of year. In fact, a place like Uranium City, your overnight low tonight will be about where you should be for your daytime high. And in Stony Rapids today was the warmest October 11th you've had since at least 1986. Now, a little bit of moisture in southwestern Saskatchewan, just catching that really southwest corner there, and that's moving through with that kind of band of rain associated with a low pressure system moving through there, but should be pretty quickly moving out tonight. But as we head through the overnight hours, eastern sections of the province, including Regina, likely going to be seeing a little bit of increasing cloudiness here and there. And for western Saskatchewan, including Saskatoon, that may build in a little bit tomorrow as we head through the day. Far northern Saskatchewan, we're really not expecting you to pick up any cloud cover. Heading into Friday, maybe a few pop-up showers here and there. Heading into the morning hours in eastern sections, including Regina, but should be clearing out as we head through the afternoon. Now, in terms of those winds, yes, we will see a reprieve, especially in central Saskatchewan and Saskatoon tomorrow. Regina and the southeast wouldn't rule out a few gusts in the 40 to 50 range, but kind of as we go through the day, we'll see those lessen a bit. A system moving through Alberta on Friday will provide some kind of support for a few more wind gusts in western sections as we head through the afternoon. In terms of where we're sitting, with our upper atmosphere, our jet stream showing that big ridge pinned between two areas of low pressure, kind of those troughs off to our east and west. That gets a little bit of relief as we head into Friday. And I showed you this yesterday, and you can see that ridge starting to kind of, it was broadening out, but could be sort of tightening up again, keeping those temperatures nice and seasonal as we head through these next few days. Again, Regina, a little bit breezy at times tomorrow, but daytime highs will hover near the 10-degree mark the next couple of days. Moving into the weekend, that's when we start to see those temperatures bump up as that ridge starts to re-intensify again. Could be a little bit breezy again on Sunday, but temperatures approaching the mid-teens for the start of next week. Saskatoon, very similar conditions here. I've given you a sun-cloud mix for tomorrow. I think the clouds will generally build in through the afternoon, but temperatures again increasing as we head into early next week. Maybe some showers here and there as well. So beautiful conditions for this time of year, Sam. A little nerve-wracking for a weather specialist who is running out of things to say.
But then you dress to match the colors of fall, so we'll just look at your sweater.
I just love being here because I can dress like this, yes.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Hey, Sid, welcome back for another season. Connor, welcome to the NHL, man. Thank you. Okay, guys, it's showtime.
And with that, Connor Bedard made his NHL debut, and he did not disappoint. The overall first-round draft pick from the Regina Pats earned his first point as an NHLer. It came at 15:37 in the second period, and a goal to his Chicago teammate Ryan Donato. That goal would be the first of 4 in a row. The Blackhawks beat the Penguins 4-2. We'll be back after the break.
When it comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
Israeli airstrikes continue to pound Gaza today. Israeli officials say 1,200 Israelis have died since the surprise attack by Hamas 5 days ago. They say thousands are injured and Hamas is holding at least 150 hostages. Officials say at least 900 Palestinians are dead and thousands more are wounded. Paul Hunter has the latest from inside Israel.
On the highway toward Ashkelon, just north of the Gaza Strip, the Israeli city, the target of so many Hamas rocket attacks the past 5 days, warning sirens soon blare.
Okay, let's get out.
Everyone pulls over, races out of their cars, and takes cover in the ditch as the rockets strike elsewhere. Inside the city, we headed toward where one of the rockets found its target, an apartment block. Now blasted. Then more rocket warnings.
Yes.
A miracle, this man told us later, holding a piece of shrapnel, that no one was killed. We never started this war, he tells us. They butchered civilians, innocent people. We need the world to help us stop the terrorists. The rockets have shaken people here, still reeling from the brutal Hamas attacks that opened the war. Now, fresh images from Be'eri have emerged, a small Israeli community east of Gaza, and evidence of further massacre on the weekend. Meanwhile, inside Gaza, misery and fear of another kind. The now overrun Al-Shifa hospital is also being used as a shelter. The Israelis hit us with no warning, says this man. There is no safe place. We will stay here. As in Israel, the deaths in Gaza are in the many hundreds and counting, including, say Palestinian authorities, more than 300 children. The retaliatory Israeli airstrikes target what Israel says are Hamas strongholds. The territory of more than 2 million is now cut off from fresh water, food, fuel, electricity, and medicine by an Israeli blockade. Back in Israel, with word of a war cabinet now to oversee the Israeli response to Hamas, military equipment and near countless reservists stand by for whatever comes next. A ground assault remains the expectation, even as an estimated 150 Israeli hostages are being held by Hamas somewhere in Gaza. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Ashkelon, Israel.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
And a little bit more wind to go in Regina and southern Saskatchewan. We'll take a look at what we're expecting tonight, overnight in the Regina area. We'll be sitting around the 6-degree mark or so in the city. Again, mostly clear skies, but those east winds picking up kind of here and there, still in the 40 range. And again, heading in tomorrow morning, at least a little bit breezy. And then through the afternoon, the sun and clouds sticking around. I think we may see some mainly cloudy periods here and there, but overall, not expecting any moisture. Clear tonight in Saskatoon at 8 degrees, and then we wake up tomorrow morning, temperatures nice, and look at that, east winds definitely dying down by the afternoon. A little bit of cloud cover building in, though not as much as eastern sections, and on our way to another pretty nice day with highs in the mid-teens, Sam.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask, subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Ethan and I will be back with more local news and weather at 11. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.